Today, we are taking a look through a recently published review paper titled Exploring the Potential Protective Role of Anthocyanins in Mitigating Micro or Nanoplastic-Induced Reproductive Toxicity, a Steroid Receptor Perspective. This article was published in the Journal of Pharmaceutical Analysis, available online November 14th, 2024, and a link to this article will be provided in the video description for your reference. The title is long, but the focus is clear. Plastic products are found everywhere in our society today, and they can degrade into macroplastics, microplastics, and nanoplastics. These particles of plastic can negatively impact the immune system, endocrine system, and reproductive system. So what steps can we take to protect against these toxins? First of all, let's aim to limit our use of plastic food packaging. This is probably not entirely feasible for all of us, but a first helpful step is to not heat anything in a plastic food container. Avoid products made with polyethylene, polystyrene, polypropylene, polyethylene terephthalate, and polyvinyl chloride, as these plastic polymers degrade into the harmful macro, micro, and nanoplastics. Limiting use is just a smart idea, so switch to glass or stainless steel water bottles to pack your food in and to heat your food in. Let's look at what this review article has to point out about the impact of microplastics and nanoplastics on the reproductive system. So please note that microplastics, abbreviated as MPs, and NPs, nanoplastics, these are rapidly absorbed into the bloodstream. So I will quote from the article here that with PS, MPs, and NPs, penetrating the blood-testis barrier within 4 hours of oral intake, and ovarian granulosa cells shortly thereafter. A synergistic toxicity was observed between PSNPs and BPA, bisphenol A, on sperm health. PSNPs are found to adhere to the surface of the sperm and can infiltrate and impair the functioning of sperm at concentrations as low as 5 and 50 micrograms per milliliter. What does all this mean? Well, the inflammatory impact of microplastics and nanoplastics is real. This combination of inflammation and oxidative damage is something to be aware of and to work to prevent, as the researchers emphasize that these two factors, inflammation and oxidative stress, are two major sources of toxicity. Endocrine disruptors like BPA and phthalate esters found in many plastics, this can mess with estrogen, androgen such as testosterone, and thyroid hormones. Ovarian and uterine tissues experience oxidative stress, inflammation, endocrine disruption, and apoptosis, which is cell death, as effects from microplastic and nanoplastics. Again, I'm quoting from page 3 of the research paper, and I quote, "For example, one study found that MPs and NPs exacerbated ovarian and uterine toxicity when combined with lead." End quote. Fertility can be compromised, as can embryo development. The authors state that, and I quote, "Additionally, microplastics were found to accumulate in multiple tissues, especially in the fetus, placenta, kidney, spleen, lung, and heart, and led to a variety of harmful effects on both fetal development and maternal health. This breach influences normal embryo development and can adversely affect pregnancy outcomes." End quote. Blood supply to the uterus and immune system compromise may result from this toxic effect of microplastics and nanoplastics. Now, as in all things, this is not a cause to fear. Let's be wisely aware and look to Jesus to direct our steps in wisely stewarding our bodies according to his design. So now, let's take a look at anthocyanins. These are beautiful flavonoids found in plants that God created for the health of our bodies. There are over 700 varieties of anthocyanins, which can be subdivided into anthocyanins and anthocyanidins. These beautiful water-soluble plant compounds are what give the red, purple, and blue, colors to foods you are already familiar with, such as blueberries, blackberries, acai berries, red cabbage, and purple sweet potatoes. Realizing that microplastics and nanoplastics cause a lot of oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, it is encouraging to read this sentence from the review article, and I quote, "More specifically, anthocyanins are suggested to have potential in safeguarding against reproductive injury caused by oxidative stress, inflammation, or hormone imbalance in both males and females through the modulation of steroid receptors." So the authors state that anthocyanins were found to reduce oxidative stress in the testes, promoting the restoration of testosterone production. Anthocyanins help decrease oxidative stress, preserve ovarian tissue, and protect against follicle damage. Estrogen receptors are located all throughout the reproductive system in both males and females. Anthocyanins influence these receptors in positive ways, as well as modulate the genes that these receptors influence. This is good news! God has placed these wonderful flavonoid compounds in red, blue, and purple fruit-bearing plants for the health of our cells on many levels. I mentioned a few sources of anthocyanins earlier, but I'm going to highlight a few more now, and please note this is not exhaustive. We see acai berries, blackberries, blueberries, cranberries, bilberries, pomegranate seeds, purple sweet potatoes, purple corn, black rice, red grapes, Oregon grapes, and black currant are all wonderful sources of anthocyanins. And I highly recommend purchasing organic versions of these foods for optimal quality. I encourage you to eat these anthocyanin-rich foods at least a couple of times per day, included among the other foods in your nutrient-dense eating pattern. The article authors recognize that intake of anthocyanins varies by availability and by the foods that are typically eaten among different countries. And when they gave values of estimated anthocyanin intake among various countries such as Australia, the US, Asia, Europe, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, and Finland, the US was sadly on the lower end. So let's aim to change this, embracing wisely these beautiful, because did I mention how pretty and flavorful anthocyanin-rich foods are? Let's embrace these beautiful sources of helpful nutrients for our bodies and learn to fit them into our routines. So which of these foods are you already enjoying on a regular basis? Anthocyanins are protective against the negative impacts of inflammation and oxidative stress, which may be from the work of microplastics and nanoplastics. And they are also known for their antioxidant value, protection for the heart and brain health, work against obesity, cancer prevention, and gut health benefits. Enjoy anthocyanins today.